Hi everybody, welcome to the first Tritale Talks video. This is going to be sort of a devlog style video where I talk about upcoming features to a new update to Tritale. The big focus of this video is going to be the hookshot. I'm sure you can see it in my hotbar, but I also want to talk about some other smaller changes and fixes coming to the update later in the video, so do stay tuned. But without further ado, let's just jump in and talk about the hookshot. I have no script for this. I'm just going to kind of yap about the item and explore this big structure that I've set up in front of me. This is a vanilla structure. I just think it's a very good showcase of the hookshot's abilities. Now, if you've played a Zelda game with the hookshot in it, and you know how the hookshot works already, you're probably seeing a lot of hookshot points all around this building. We have vines and wood and all kinds of stuff like that. So let's just take a look at it. Here it is. Its design is loosely based off of that of the Wind Waker, and just like in the video games, it can only target very specific blocks. You won't be able to grapple onto soil, you won't be able to grapple onto stones, especially not skulls, but you can grapple onto vines, and you'll see this laser reticle show up when you're actually looking at something that is 1, in range, and 2, able to be like hookshotted. Chests, and this is also like a lot of other furniture items as well. So chairs, tables, crates, things like that will also be hookable. Wooden logs, full moss blocks, and also partial moss blocks, so like the little moss patches up there are also hookshotable, and entities. So if I click and hold this, and holding is important here. If I click and hold, the hookshot will pull me right to my destination, just like it does in the games. If I do this on entities, it will also stun them, just like it does in the games, and pull you to them. What's super cool and really important about this is there are a lot of vanilla structures in Hytale that have stone like everywhere. There's a lot of mine shafts I can think of, or some of the areas in Zone 2 where everything's made out of sandstone and there's very little wood to grapple onto. That's where entities come into play. Because if you can grapple onto an entity, maybe across a lava pit or something like that, it's as good as any hookshot point anywhere else is. And then you can just smack the entity to death, whatever it is, with your sword. But yeah. I'm going to kind of just show how it might look to navigate a structure with this thing now. So this is a hookshot point. These are only going to be found in Tritale dungeons, so you won't be seeing them in the overworld. But I've set one up here just to show it off. But we could also maybe try and grapple up here. I'm going to go this way just to show you the interior and what it might look like in there. So we can just, again, click and hold. This tree is grappleable, that crate, that chair, that ladder right there. And the ceiling is obviously made of wood, so we can grapple it. If you let go, so if I click and release, I'm gonna kind of come over here to do this. If I hold left click and release, I can release my hookshot mid-pull, and then fire it again mid-air. That lets me kind of take sharp corners. This sort of very snappy style of hookshot, I think, is super important for Hytale's gameplay, because the game is blocks. Because game is blocks, there's a lot of very hard edges. Like this shot right here, I'm gonna get caught on all of these blocks here, and maybe this is like a flat plane in a Zelda game because I can do that. You can't do that here, so all of these edges are gonna get in your way, and flexibility really lets you navigate around the sharpness of Hytale. I would not have been able to take this corner with the hookshot if I didn't have that sort of flexibility. But the flexibility also, as you can see that stone platform over there, let me just hookshot over to here, opens up some options with other items. If you have used the Deku Mask, you will know that it is very good at getting you places horizontally in a similar fashion to the hookshot. But it has its own weaknesses. So does the hookshot. For example, the hookshot can round very small corners, kind of like that, only if there's hookshot points. But the Deku Mask, if I use it here, this thing can just take full corners. Like, it doesn't matter. I can just jump around this corner right here. The hookshot is going to struggle immensely with that. So that's kind of a key difference there. The other difference is obviously that I have 3 jumps in air versus the hookshot being just kind of tied to my stamina and being able to do stuff like that. It's a lot faster. But if we combine the two, we can kind of try and overcome the weaknesses of both. I'm going to drop down here and try to make it to that platform over there by hooking this, releasing, doing a spin to give myself a thing. So I hook it, I do a spin, and there we go. So you can combine these items, and I'm hoping for like future Tritale items to use the hookshot in really interesting ways and just kind of take advantage of moving around your world in as many interesting ways as possible. Also, as you can see, the hookshot has some super long range. I can't quite reach that, but I can get right back over to where I was. So if there was a hookshot point on that island, just a piece of wood, anything really, I'd have actually been able to make it over there with the hookshot alone. It's only because it's completely made of stone that the hookshot doesn't really work. Yeah, that's the hookshot. Pretty sweet. Okay, wait, I lied. One last thing. So, the Hylian shield chest. Because of the hookshot, that area is just completely different. You can just hookshot that chest and get the Hylian shield. And that applies to a lot of other existing areas within Tritale. The Elden Depths have all kinds of things the hookshot can now just allow you to reach without having to bomb jump or do Master Sword spin jumps. And I think that's super exciting, so definitely look out for those areas when you get this item in your hands, because they're all over the place. Anyways, I can die now. Okay, so that's all I've got for the hookshot for right now, at least. I'm sure there will be more on it later. I also just want to mention that there will be 2 heroic items coming in this update, not just 1. So the hookshot is not the only heroic item you can expect, and I'm not talking about the grotto, those are obviously heroic, but I'm talking about like major items, right? The second item is highly requested, and I have finally figured out how to implement it in a way that I think is going to be very fun and interesting to use. And there's going to be a video on the process of me making that, hopefully. So do stick around for that. But I just want to talk about some smaller changes, some fixes, things like that, little additions as I've been working on this update. We'll start over here with the decorative Hylian headstones. That's too many. These are craftable. You just put a stone brick in a builder's workbench and you can get one of these. They're literally a grave. They move, or they work almost the same way, except these ones are doors and they don't play the jingle. So if I use it again, I can slide it back in the way. And so you can kind of use these as like maybe a door to your base or a door to like a secret area if you want to, or just for decoration. They can be blown up with explosives still, so if you wanted to build a fun, I don't know, if you wanted to build something crazy, you could just blow them up if you want for fun. They're super cheap to make, so I'm not too concerned about that. The next thing is Deku Flowers. These, notoriously, when you jump on them, have made a horrible buzzing sound when you're Link. They don't do that anymore. You can jump on them, and more importantly still, if I actually grab myself the Deku Mask here, the reason they did that was to prevent fall damage, right? Because when you did this on them and then fell back on them, you would take fall damage as Deku Link. You now just get fall damage immunity for like 5 seconds after using one of these things. This doesn't matter in the Lost Woods at all because you can't take fall damage in by instance worlds. So, doesn't matter in the Lost Woods, but when you place this in the overworld, taking fall damage is actually like a really huge problem. The other thing is Deku Link now gets fall damage resistance after using the jump like that. So you get some resistance by doing that, you get some fall damage resistance here. So Deku Link is going to be very, very, very good at preventing falls. Yeah. The final big change, and this was requested on the... I don't have wood. Let's go in here. This was requested on Curse Forge, is the treehouse. So the treehouse can now have multiple instances. And I didn't want to do this at first because I was a little bit worried about making like a massive crafting interface for the Cadence's Shovel menu. I didn't want to just have like 18 different treehouse entrances. Somebody over there on the Curse Forge page helped immensely, spitballed an idea, and it gave me an idea that lets me do 2 very important things. Lets me keep the interface very small, and it also allows you to enter your own unique instances within the Lost Woods. So now if you crouch and you press use on the treehouse, you will paint a symbol on it. And each one of these symbols has to do with a different instance. They're kind of themed around the games. Triforce is obviously just generic Zelda. Spirit Tracks, Ocarina of Time's Kokiri emblem, Majora's Mask, also a shield face. Always forget the name of that face. Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and then you just take this as Sheikah, but I'm kind of using this to represent Breath of the Wild, and then just the vanilla door. So if we go into this one, you'll see somebody has put crystals everywhere, and I don't want to live with the crystal obsessed person, so I'm gonna go out here. and paste this Triforce on my door, go into my Triforce door, and you can see it's a completely different instance of the treehouse. Which is great. That is a massive, massive help for people playing on servers, I think. Still keeps things pretty communal, because you just need one door. You can just switch it. If you just are using the same door, you can literally just be like, oh, I want to go to my house. Boom. Or, oh, I want to go back to the crystal house. Boom. Super fast and easy to use. But yeah, that is about everything I've got for today. I'll have a video talking about the next heroic item. I've just been hard at work on this on the Hookshot, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thank you very much for sticking around to the end of the video. Bye-bye!